Good morning, Reds. Good morning, Reds. All around the world. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments. You know we love to see it. Smash that like button. Comment. I know the heavy heart is hurting right now. I know the feeling is one of regret, anger, frustration, sadness. But again, we have to move on. That was last night, and we have to move on and look ahead to the Fulham game. Joining me, as always, whenever we play Fulham, it's probably I'm going to go like 8th or 9th appearance now on the Kop TV, which is it's catching up to me, to be honest. Unbelievable to have him back in the studio. My best mate, Fulham fan, and also just a general European football expert. It is, of course, the one, the only, Mr. Jack Collins.
Oh, mate, it's a pleasure to be back. You have to start paying me a wage soon.
Oh, honestly, rent, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely back, great to have you here again. Listen, we have to talk about last night just quickly. If you haven't watched my fairly emotional but also contained instant match reaction from last night, then go ahead and watch that if you haven't. Just from a person who I know loves European football, from the Conference League right up to the Champions League. You obviously were across the game last night. I mean, I've said my piece in terms of how, you know, the Dublin dream is over and how Atalanta really stifled the creativity and pinned us back in the second half. You have to give the credit to them. They deserve to go through, right? And if anything, I hope they go on and win it now. But I've said my bit. What do you think about the game last night and knowing that it's Jurgen Klopp's last European match for Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tough to take. And I think that when you look at the first leg, and that's where obviously the regrets will be. I don't think anyone's looking at that performance last night and thinking it was anywhere near as bad as what happened in that first leg.
We won the game with the clean sheet.
100%. Yeah. But I thought it was pretty even last night. And that's kind of what I was expecting from the tie as a whole. I thought you'd probably win Anfield, and I thought they'd win in Bergamo, even though that didn't happen in the Champions League the last time you met. There wasn't any fans, all of that. So you kind of look at how it panned out. And when Liverpool scored early, I think my kind of general feeling was that you expect the Liverpool side under Klopp at that point to just like press the accelerator, you know, to step on the gas and go through, or at least put a team under immense pressure. And obviously that happens for the first 15 minutes. But you know, when a car doesn't have any gas in the tank and you floor the pedal and it just sort of revs, but nothing happens.
Sounds good.
It sounds good. But actually nothing, you know, it felt like Liverpool lacked the... And I don't mean this in terms of like intensity, in terms of desire or anything like that. I think that's all there. But just almost the steam to get through and actually put them under pressure. And obviously the Salah lob miss might change the game. It's just an awful finish. I mean, you can't really knock him because of what he's done and what he stands for and all of the above. But that's a dreadful finish. And anyone else, you'd be absolutely livid.
Well, I know that's maybe where I think you might be wrong, because we are livid, because it is Salah and he hasn't been at his best. He was dragged off, you know, in the European quarter-final last night after 65 odd minutes, and I think
he looks gassed, doesn't he?
I spoke to my dad about it and this morning, and he said the ball, when he strikes the ball with his shin pad, let's be honest, the ball's still bouncing fairly high. The keeper's advancing, but he's also doing the fake pump to see, you know, on FIFA when you bring the keeper out
to see if they'll try and lob them.
Yeah, and I think what and again, hindsight, pressure, the moment, all these things, which again you'd expect Salah to just deal with nonchalantly and finish it. Yeah. Even if it's one with the laces hard and low, you'd expect him to finish it. But because the ball's still bouncing and because the keeper's almost in no man's land, because there's no defenders on his back, I watched it over and over and I think, if he just allowed it to bounce so it settled on the floor, then you give the keeper two options. You're forcing him to come out, or you're forcing him to make a save. Now, if you let the ball bounce, so it's in control, he wasn't in control. That's the problem. He wasn't in control of that football. But you let that ball bounce, you get it on the floor with your studs, take it round and win the pen, or open your body up. But that finish, one that we saw a lot in the first and second and third season of Salah, where it's kind of, I want to call it the Henry finish, where it's the finesse into the bottom left corner with your left foot. Yeah. He doesn't have that confidence to do that now. So the fact that he snatched at it and not brought it down, been calm and just taking it round, because that was 41 minutes. If we go in at half time 2-0 up, the whole complexity of the second
completely
half changes.
Equally, if he just hits the ball with his foot rather than his shin, it probably goes in. I agree with you, and I actually think that maybe Salah of last year or 2 years ago takes it down and goes right. But to be honest, I think maybe we're overcomplicating it. If he just kicks the ball with his foot, it goes in, and that's I think the frustrating thing about that moment. But, you know, it is what it is. These things happen. As you say, Atalanta were brilliant, and I thought Isaac Hien, and I know that there will be shouts for him to have been sent off for the handball. I think it would have been harsh. I don't think he's trying...
It was on purpose, though. If you watch it back, bro, you know when players do that when they know what's coming?
Yeah.
He knows that he could be... I mean, Luis Diaz gets a yellow card for doing that.
Yeah.
For asking for the red.
Also, that's not
you can't do that.
Fair.
No.
But there's a level of... weirdly, that moment aside, I thought he was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal in the middle of that, stepping out, making things happen and dealing with the rotations. What was good about Liverpool last night, and look, we can come on to the positives, I suppose, and I imagine that it's quite difficult to pick them out in the state or the moment that you're in, but the rotations in attack I thought were good again. I thought Hakpo dropping in and linking up was smart. I was pleased that Hakpo started because I feel like he's made a real difference off the bench in the last couple of games, and Klopp's been quite stubborn with his front three. And I thought he did a decent job again in terms of it's not quite there, but I just don't think anyone's quite there. You know, it's not like one player is down and everyone else is flying. It feels like everyone's about 10% off it, and I don't know what that means coming into the game at the weekend, but it does feel like this performance at the very least was one that Liverpool can take heart from in terms of going into these last 5-6 games of the Premier League season.
Yeah, and now it is that crucial point of the season which we've been dreading, to be honest. We have 6 games remaining. As I say in the title, every single game now is a cup final. You've got Fulham away, Everton away and West Ham away, all in the space of 7 days. I mean, 2 trips to London sandwiched in between a Merseyside derby, and then it's Tottenham at home, Villa away and Wolves at home. So listen, let's move on from last night. We know what it is. We didn't do enough. We killed ourselves in the first leg. You know, we gave ourselves such a big mountain to climb.
Just too much to do.
But just put all that to the side and try and think of the European memories that Klopp did give us, and the unforgettable nights, the moments, the comebacks, the failings. Of course, we had plenty of them in Europe under Klopp. But this man, and this is the reason I'm grateful, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before we move on. This man, in my opinion, and people may agree or disagree, but in terms of where he took us to, we were the cream of the crop in Europe, in my opinion, for a solid 18 months to 2 years in terms of calendar year, from the first day of 2019 to right up to the end of 2020. In that period, won the league, won the Champions League. I think there's not many fans in football that can say confidently that that manager took us to heights that we never thought we'd reach. And I thank him for that. You know, he made us the best.
Yeah,
he really did.
Sometimes there's a line in the commitments to be like, you know, being successful, it would have been predictable. This way it's poetry. And sometimes it does feel like that afterwards. You look back at it and you're like, yeah, maybe the fairy tale finish didn't happen. Maybe also that's okay.
Yeah, I'm getting sad, mate. I feel like me and you could have a little cry, because I know you love Klopp as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, you love the whole story. Yeah, so... Anyway, like I said, we move on to Fulham, 4:30 kickoff on Sunday. The whole world will be watching this one. Liverpool currently find themselves 2 wins in 5 in the Premier League, which isn't good enough. Currently lying in 3rd, level on points with Arsenal, 2 points behind City. I mean, if you're asking me, you know, is there a chance? I don't think there is, but obviously we still have to do what we do and fight right up until the end. If we look at Fulham, again, 2 wins in 5, sandwiched in between 2 draws and a defeat. 33 played, 12th, 42 points. Is there... I mean, what's the maximum that you'd like for the rest of the season? I'm looking at the table. You're 2 points behind Brighton, who again have had a really up and down season. Literally 11 wins, 11 draws, 10 defeats this season. It's incredible. Even you've won more than them. But before we dive into the game itself, talk to me about where your maybe maximum is for the rest of the season, or are you happy to kind of almost float a little bit now? Have you done the hard work now?
I think this is it. Like, I'm not worried about Fulham, where Fulham finish at this point. I know every position in the Premier League is, you know, a monetary value and all of those things, and that's for the club and the club's financial stuff to worry about. For me, we have 2 games here. We have Liverpool, obviously, at the Cottage, and then we have City at the Cottage.
Well,
so there's an opportunity to... Yeah, I know. Chap. I thought you were going to say that.
Mr. Collins.
An opportunity to be kingmakers.
Please.
Is quite cool.
And Tottenham, do us a favour. The Everton of North London, do us a favour.
Well, I mean, you've got to play them as well. I know. That's the problem.
Anfield, though.
They'll do you a
favour. They'll
do you a favour and then beat you. It's like,
it's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. But I mean, so there's an opportunity. I always think about it in kind of the sense of you're watching Premier League years in 10 years' time, right? Fulham aren't going to feature that much this season. We've been quite good. But we've not really made any. We'll
give us the headline that we'll look back on in 10 years.
What you will see, you'll see us beat Arsenal on New Year's Day, right? You'll see us beat Man United at Old Trafford. Yeah. They're the two bits that Fulham will be on.
And Fulham went to Old Trafford and scraped an away win against Manchester United in January or whenever it was.
The government was scraping by, but Fulham got past and scraped it. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
There you go. Heritage. But it is one of those ones where I think that there's an opportunity to insert yourself into that narrative, which is always quite nice and has that opportunity to be like, whether it is, and I know you're going to be sitting here hoping it's City that we dethrone and this weekend goes right for you, and that's perfectly reasonable. But whichever way it goes, Fulham, I would like Fulham to insert themselves into the narrative at some point at the end of this season to be like, and Fulham made them work for it, or whatever that looks like, and then we go to Brentford away. We just need to win that game. They beat us. They beat us at the Cottage earlier in the season. We could just do with making sure that they're in that. There was a point a couple of weeks ago where I thought that Fulham might be able to beat Brentford and then go to Luton on the final day and lose on purpose so that Brentford might get relegated. Yeah. But I think that's probably done and dusted.
Brentford are safe, mate. I'll be honest with you. If anything, I'm looking at Everton to go down at this point. Up the Luton, up the Burnley, get out. And then get them down there. But let's talk about the game. Injury news, have we got any?
Not much, no. We're at
both squads looking
we're at a relatively
strong.
Full bill of health. To be honest, I don't think Fulham changed very much. We went to West Ham and won last weekend. We don't do that. We never win. 2-0. We never win at West Ham. Andreas got both. I think that you look at that team that started that game, I'll be very surprised if there's more than one change. I think it's quite a good chance there'll be none. But if there's one, I think Sasha Lukic might drop out for Tom Cairney just to get a bit more ball retention. But generally, I think this team have done really well. It's pretty much the same team that beat Spurs in that exact thing at the Cottage a couple of weeks ago. So, I can't see Fulham making many changes. What I am intrigued by is how Liverpool deal with... Fulham's attack comes all the way down the left-hand side. That's how we attack. It's Anthony Robinson playing off Willian, occasionally Kenny dropping into those spaces. But whatever that looks like, it comes down the left. And against Spurs, Fulham played really high, pinned the fullback in, had Willian really high, Robinson bombing on behind him. And I didn't think I'd be saying this 6 months ago. I don't think anybody thought they'd be saying this 6 months ago, but I think you're going to miss Conor Bradley in this game. I really do. And that's
gave us something different, didn't it?
Yeah, but also I just think that element of defensive solidity. And look, I'm not one of the people that subscribes to this Trent can't defend theory, but I do think that Bradley's a better defender in terms of what he's done. And
just naturally, though.
Yeah, I've liked him since he was at Bolton. And the energy he has getting up and down the line. He played Gaelic football as a youngster. Yeah, no surprise.
Very wiry, kind of athletic body, not hugely built, which we'll expect maybe a little bit more as he grows and gets older, I guess. He's only, he's still a youngster, 21. But yeah, you're right. He's got that Gaelic experience. He's tough, man. I know he rolled his ankle. It was a bit of a nasty challenge, and he'll be out for the rest of the season now. But he's a real tough kid. And yeah, Trent comes back in. We saw last night in the first 15 minutes, he probably hit about 3 passes in that first 15 minutes that professional footballers all around the world dream of. There was one to Diaz that 70 yards maybe, genuinely, with carry. Bit like you playing golf.
70 yards with carry is about how far I can hit a driver.
So Trent will come back in. And how crazy is this? I know you love a stat. Last night, and guys at home, I was looking for this stat, and shout out to Adam Summerton on TNT commentary last night, who reminded me. Last night was only the 3rd time this season that we've had a back five, our best back five, of Alisson, Trent, Konate, Virgil and Robbo. So, they come back in. Listen, we didn't go through last night, but we got the clean sheet and we won. So it does go to show that back five is our best back five. Whether Conor Bradley's a better defender, I agree. But that is still our best back five. So in terms of a lineup prediction from us,
I think that just opens the game up. Just it will. Kind of in terms of if it's Bradley, and I think that he probably deals with that defensively a little bit better, but equally not quite the same thrust going forward. I think that means that this game might open up into into a game that's quite fun to watch.
Yeah, which excites me,
but scares
me as well. Quite in equal measures,
it should do, right? That's how it should be.
Looking at Fulham's, we'll get into the lineup prediction shortly, but looking at Fulham's kind of run since the new year. There was a mad kind of game.
The Robin Hood of the Premier League, by
Literally.
the way. It's so amusing.
Well, you beat Arsenal. It's great through against Fulham. Obviously, we played you twice in that period. A 2-1 win at home and then a 1-1 draw away. Slim lost to Chelsea. Lost at home in the FA Cup to Newcastle. 0-0 at home to Everton. Drawing away at Burnley. Beating Bournemouth. Narrowly losing to Villa. Beating United away. Again, well done for that. So I don't think I've seen
Honestly,
you since. Brilliant.
We are
3-0 at home to Brighton, 2-1 away to Wolves.
Make any sense.
I don't get it. 3-0 at home to Fulham. I was watching that. 3-3 away to Sheffield United. You lose. 3-1 at Forest. And then you go and lose again at home to Newcastle. But then you go and beat West Ham. There's no sense in it.
There's no rhyme or reason. You can't expect this team to so it's literally is expect the unexpected at the college.
Yeah. So for Liverpool, I mean, again, that will be our back five, unless anyone's picked up any knocks last night. Endo, it's strange because before the game against Palace, he'd never lost a game in the Premier League for Liverpool that he'd started in. That was the first one. Fell off a cliff in that game, if I'm honest. Wasn't even involved last night. I think he comes back in on Saturday, even though, again, the last 2 weeks have been really poor. Maybe even I can drag in the United 2-2 as well. But he has been our kind of our anchor in the Premier League, and he's had such a great season, man. And I know you knew about him before, but he was fairly unknown.
He single-handedly kept Stuttgart up last year,
and they loved him.
Yeah.
They were really gutted to see him leave, and he's that kind of Lucas Leiva kind of player where he just goes about and does his business.
Yeah, and that's a really nice comparison. Actually, I had not thought of that
because I absolutely loved Lucas. I think he put his body on the line. He would die for the club. And I think Endo's genuinely the same. Bring your mouth guard, mate, on Saturday, because I'm sure there's going to be a bit of a face-up against Palhinha.
Yeah, JP and Endo having it off.
So Endo midfield. There's a part of me that wants Harvey Elliott to start this game, and a part of me wants to drop Szoboszlai, just because the amount of times he gave the ball away last night. And you might know this, actually. Atalanta, do they play on an artificial pitch?
No, I don't think the Gavis is artificial.
Only because last night I was really intrigued because I couldn't see any mud marks on the players when they would skid. I couldn't see any bits of flicking grass. I don't know. Someone maybe clarify that.
Maybe I didn't think so, but
maybe that was the reason why it was
they
like
did
a
relay
hot bar
it
of
recently
soap.
because they did change the stadium recently because they went and played elsewhere for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe I've missed that. So it's
but
potential.
honestly, it was like
skiddy.
Skiddy, and it was a bar of soap. No one could get hold of it. So Szoboszlai for me, I'll be honest, and let me know in the comments if you agree or not. He should be dropped. So my midfield would be Endo, Maka, who has to play in the 10 or the 8, because that's just where. I mean, he was fantastic in the 6 last night, but again, him in the 8, he's just a beautiful footballer. Again, naughty challenge from Coop Miners on him last night. Rolled his ankle as well. So it's Elliott for me, good footballer. So it's Elliott, Endo, and McAllister. And this is a bit of a conundrum as well because, listen, no striker really delivered last night, if I'm really honest, on the big stage, apart from that Salah penalty. Is there an even option to drop Salah and play Harvey on that side? I think in this period, like every game is a cup final. Listen, even though the form maybe suggests otherwise, you still start Salah. But it's Diaz and Jota. You're going to go Curtis?
Yeah, I think so. Just in terms of also like Harvey Elliott, and then rightly or wrongly, and I think it's probably a bit much in terms of what he gets at Fulham, but people are upset in the idea that he walked away for free after coming through the academy, and you can understand
Tribunal.
that as well. Look, I've spoken to Harvey and interviewed him, and I've actually had a conversation with him about it, and I get it. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's unfair. He's a Liverpool fan from birth. He wanted to go and to live his dream, and I absolutely understand that. But equally, I can understand why Fulham fans were upset about the way that it transpired, especially given that period where Fulham seemed to lose every young talent for free for a while. So I can understand the frustration, and I wonder if just that idea of him getting that treatment, and look, he is going to get it. Whether that's right or wrong is a different question, right? But he is going to get that treatment.
Will he thrive in it, though?
Will he thrive in it? Maybe. But I just feel like maybe when things are just a bit frantic, and everything feels a little bit emotional, I think, at the moment, and rightly so for Liverpool, given the circumstances. Maybe someone with just Curtis Jones's ball retention ability and just ability to keep things ticking might be what I'd go for if I was Klopp.
Yeah, 50-50 for me in terms of Jones or Elliott. I'm happy to see either of them play. Again, Stefan Bajcetic knocking around the bench as well.
It's so good to see him back, by the way.
Such a great player, man. Like, I know we were poor last season, but he was our shining star from December to May, and then he got injured horrifically. He hasn't played at all for us this season, I'm pretty sure. And then Thiago, just no point.
Let's
move on.
Let's move on.
Couple of stats. Fulham have won just one of their last 11 Premier League meetings with Liverpool, and of course it was that win in lockdown at Anfield.
We talk about this though, and I think we talked about it the last time I was on, is that Fulham don't often win this game, but we always seem to be in it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very rare that...
Well, this season, we had a 4-3, a 2-1, a 1-1.
Yeah.
So, you're right. Though they're unbeaten in their last 5 Premier League away games against Fulham, Liverpool haven't kept a clean sheet in any of their last 8 league games away at Craven Cottage since
also,
a 1-0
win. Also, in your last 9 games in general. Oh, yeah. Last night. Sorry, before
Craven
last
Cottage
night,
since a 1-0 win in April 2009. And guess what? I was at that game, and that was the Yossi Benayoun last-minute winner, which genuinely, still to this day, and I've told you a million times, that was one of the best away days I've ever had.
100%.
But on the Fulham side, they've scored 49 Premier League goals this season, having netted 55 last season. The last time the Cottagers scored 50-plus in consecutive seasons, 03-04 and 04-05, the Louis Saha era and the Van der Sar era, the Steed Malbronk, the Pizza Hut era.
Let's call it the Pizza Hut era.
Let's call it for what it is.
Well, actually, do you know who was playing in that team? Lee Clark, Bobby Clark's dad.
Lee Clark. Wow. Football, heritage and knowledge.
Trivia.
We love it. Pub quiz questions. Following their 1-0 loss to Palace last time out, Liverpool will be looking to avoid losing consecutive Premier League games for the first time since April, this time last year, when I think we lost to Bournemouth and City in a row. The Reds have suffered 2 league defeats in 5 games in London this season. Both North London sides. One of them was fixed and corrupt, but we won't talk about that. Since losing 3-0 to Brentford, though, in their first Premier League home game this season, Fulham have conceded... You lost 3-0 to Brentford?
That's what I mean.
Jesus.
They're rubbish and they still beat us 3-0.
Fulham have conceded just 13 goals in their last 15 games at Craven Cottage. That's very impressive. With 6 clean sheets at home so far. The Cottagers last had more in 2011. And that was Schwarzer in goal.
Roy Hodgson.
9 clean sheets.
Roy Hodgson,
yeah.
That was the Europa League team.
It was, mate. And again, I was listening to Danny Murphy the other day on the Ben Heath podcast.
He was very good on it.
He opened up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But he said his most disappointing moment in his career was losing that final with Fulham, which I thought was quite interesting. And I remember that night, man. You should have won.
Tough to take.
Honestly, I think you'll agree.
Good athletic team.
European Cup final heartbreak. There's no other heartbreak.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I've seen us lose 4. You've lost 1 in your lifetime.
Yeah, but it's 1 of 1. You're
sure,
4 of 7.
Athens, Basel, Kiev.
Also, you'll get to another one. I don't know if we will.
But it still hurts, mate, honestly. Let's get into our score predictions then. As I said, this one crucial for Liverpool to bounce back in. Obviously, I have to back the boys. We're still trying to go for the league title. And let's not forget, Fulham still have a say in where this league title goes. 2 teams that play in white from London have a say in where this title goes.
Kristen Cole Kingmakers, as they say.
There you go. Let's see it. So, I'm going to go, as you said, I can't look past the fact that there's not a lot to split us this season. So, 2-1 Liverpool. I'll go with that.
Yeah, I think it's relatively safe. I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2, okay.
I think that weirdly, you look back at those Carabao Cup ties, and I know that now we look at it in the context, right? That trophy is massive for Liverpool.
Yeah,
at the time, I think it felt like we were like, Liverpool are playing on 4 fronts. Maybe this is the least of those fronts. And that's easy to say at this point.
How wrong were we?
Yeah, how wrong were we? Yeah, fine. But I do think that there was a sense of being like, obviously you were missing Salah, but missing Iwobi, missing a couple of really key players at AFCON. And kind of looking at it and being like, I wonder how it might have gone. And I think that there will be a sense for Fulham that, to kind of prove themselves and look and be like, look, no, we could have also done that. We would have, just to kind of make it feel right. I know there's a couple of Fulham fans, and I was speaking to on Fulhamish this week about it. My mate Sammy was like, "I'm still angry about that flag." I was like, "What flag?" He was like, he was like, when they won, they pulled out the "Imagine Being Us" flag, and I was like, "Oh mate, if that's been in your head rent free for 3 months, you're very easily rattled." But yeah, I think that might have a play here, that Fulham will want to just go out and prove a point, and it has been the better teams that Fulham have come out and and been better against this season. So I'm going to go 2-2.
You did also say before, as we were walking into the studio, it wouldn't surprise you if you won 2-1 or if we lost 4-0, because that kind of we're having that kind of season, right? Like, will we react and will we just go hell for leather?
Fulham are good at exploiting weaknesses this year, and last year we didn't beat anyone above us in the table. We just and we just beat teams below us, and that's how it worked. And Fulham were quite a safe mid-table club. This year we feel like quite a fun mid-table club in that we're like quite spiky, but we also throw away stupid points.
Bit like Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not bad comparison.
Just you never know what you're going to get. Box of chocolates, bag of Revels.
Yeah.
Are you going to get the coffee or the toffee?
I mean, I like both, which is...
I'm not a coffee one. But do they even still do Revels?
They stopped selling them in little bags. You can still get the big ones. Fantastic.
Mate,
great knowledge
here. I do feel a bit old. But I am a bit old.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Fulham are topsy-turvy, man. It is no idea what you're going to get, but I think they will be relatively up for this one, especially on the box. As you say, on Super Sunday, all of that. I think they want to give a good account of themselves.
Just quickly before we wrap up, incredible stat this about Alexis McAllister. So Alexis McAllister has clocked up 540 minutes or 9 hours on the pitch in under 3 weeks. Jeez. Averaging a full game of football every 3.2 days.
It's nuts, isn't it?
That is absolutely ridiculous.
But at what point,
Klopp's, Van Dijk's the only other player to do so.
You kind of look at that, though, and I do wonder, at what point is it like, do you need, Everton obviously on Tuesday, as you say, in the derby, what point do you need to give some of these players a rest? And that's you can't really, as you said, because every game's a cup final.
And he won't want to rest. This is the key. Endo will come back in. And look, there's obviously an argument to say give McAllister the rest, but
you can't, because he's been brilliant, right? Yeah. I get that, but if he twists his ankle tomorrow, on Sunday, no. But if something happens to him and you miss him for 5 games, is that worse than missing him for? It's a really hard one, because it feels like you're squeezing the juice out of this. And just to finish off and to talk about Liverpool in terms of a kind of more general point, at the start of the year, I thought Liverpool were a year away from competing. I remember saying it in the previews, and maybe we've just come back to a point we've returned to the mean, but the point is that the change is that now Klopp won't be there next year, right? So it feels like everything's just sort of slightly out of kilter.
Yeah, because that's where I'm at with overachieved a little bit.
100%.
I heard what Gary Neville said. I totally agreed when he said, if you'd told me at the start of the season Liverpool up until April would be fighting for the quad and potentially winning the title, I would have said no way.
Yeah.
Anyway, the season still has some bits to go, so we'll see what happens. Let us know what your score predictions are in the comments. Will Liverpool come away triumphant in southwest London on Sunday? Will it be a sunny day down on the riverside? Or will we be sent packing going into that derby really needing a win? And every game is obviously a must-win now. But listen, we're out of Europe, so this is all we've got to focus on now. So we hope that Fulham can beat City for us. We hope that they drop points. We hope Arsenal as well drop points. By the way, nice one for beating Arsenal already.
No, we're just doing everyone favours.
Yeah, just carry on though.
We're just doing our best.
Now. Right, there you go. There's your match preview. We're also going to be focusing on Ruben Amorim in another video, so make sure you stay around for that. Go and follow Jack Collins. He's doing some great work on the Ranks podcast, European football expert and big Fulham fan. You at the game Sunday?
I'll be there, mate. I will be there.
Love to see it.
Absolutely.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on the channel. We really appreciate it. Smash that like button, comment and subscribe to the Kop TV, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you check out the rest of the channel too. There's other stuff you'll enjoy for sure.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the Kop TV,
the voice of football's most famous dads.
Come on.